Have Your Say Hobsons Bay is a series of stories and experiences of people who live, work and play within the municipality of Hobsons Bay. Let's hear how their lives were changed because of COVID-19. Have your say, Hobsons Bay.
Okay, good morning everyone. My name's Lynn and I've got Alex here, and we've got Celia here from the Williamstown Little Theatre. Hi Celia.
Hi.
So Celia, tell us about what the Williamstown Little Theatre is.
Williamstown Little Theatre was established in 75 years ago and is a small community theatre. We started in the Mechanics Institute in Williamstown, but now have for the last 65 years, had our own location in Albert Street in Williamstown. We put on, usually, 5 shows a year, which means that we have a long run. The run that we have goes from a Wednesday, so it goes Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday off, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday off, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So it's set like 17 performances, and everyone is a volunteer. There's not any paid people or paid performers or anything like that. And we have a huge subscriber base. That means that our seasons are pretty well sold out. In fact, we have to keep back tickets so that future cast members can actually get access to the shows that they're in. And we try to do a range of shows, a range of plays. We usually do straight plays, but we have the occasional musical that we do. But it's a very small stage. We only have an audience of 69.
Great. So tell us about how the COVID-19 pandemic has impacted the theatre.
Okay. Because the theatre is built in a converted bakery, we've had to make sort of concessions along the way. And so we had a plan for getting the toilets to be built inside so that the patrons didn't have to stumble over the bluestone bricks going out to the toilet, and they could be inside, as well as improve our foyer and improve the facilities in the courtyard. So we decided that during the pandemic we would do the renovation, which seemed to be a useful time to do it. But we also had to cancel all our performances after March. So we normally have a performance in June, September, December, November, December, across the whole year. So we cancelled all of those and we started our building project. Then the pandemic impacted that, not just our performances, but it impacted the building project. And as people know, there've been problems with sourcing materials during the pandemic, and so the builders have been fantastic and changed, to steel girders and all that sort of thing. But getting supplies, they'd order something and only half would be delivered, and so it slowed the thing down. And then when we came out of lockdown, we thought, oh, we'll be right. We have an old brick wall at the front, and the council has said that Hobsons Bay Council had said that we had to put it back to the original look of wall because it wasn't classified, but it was something. So that delayed it even more because it took 3 months for the council to make a decision about the brick wall. So COVID had a huge impact on our work last year and our pleasure, but it also impacted the way we operate. So, and that's been the upside of it. in part is because I live here in Aireys Inlet, which is the other side of Geelong. So I didn't have to do all the travelling to get to meetings and things. But we were able to have our meetings via Zoom, but we'd normally have them in our own space. But because we didn't have our own space, we then had to find places locally to do things if we were going to rehearse a show or if we were going to have a meeting. And there were COVID-safe practices with that too, that you couldn't have more than 5 people in the space that we'd found. And so that had a huge impact as well. Yeah. This year we've cancelled one show that had been performing. We decided, okay, we'll do COVID-safe practices and get shows that only had 1 performer or 2 performers, minimal performance. But we had to cancel the first one we had because that was just coming up to the first lockdown this year. And we're hoping to put on a show at the end of the year, but depends on what's said on Sunday, really.
Yeah, definitely. Have you thought of any ideas to moving the theatre production to any sort of online platform or anything like that?
We've the couple of casts of different shows have tried Zooming for their rehearsals, and it doesn't work. It's just the delay during it. I mean, I'm in a choir that for a while there we were having choir, but we all had to mute ourselves because of the delay. So it's not quite suitable for that sort of performance thing. And at this stage, we haven't looked at filming a show and then offering it as tickets online, because during the last 18 months, nearly 2 years, we haven't had any income, and we've had to we're paying for the building to be done. So we'd saved up for that, but it's getting close to the bone.
Yeah. And when you say no funding, is that from government funding, support payments, and
all our funding we're self-funded. We have a minimal membership fee of $15, and then we have ticket sales, and we haven't been able to sell any tickets, so we haven't got any money. We have applied for a number of grants, but we don't meet any of those requirements in most cases. Because this year is our 75th anniversary, we've managed to get a grant for us to open up the theatre once it's finished, but that's, that'll just cover snacks and drinks basically. But we haven't managed to get any other funding. We're hoping to be able to access a solar grant, but who knows?
Yeah. And so post-pandemic, how do you see the theatre operating? Do you see it moving back to full capacity again like it was prior to?
We hope to, because the size of the theatre is small enough. Well, and what we've been doing is we've been ensuring that our air conditioning and heating system is COVID safe, and we're hoping that we've tried as a group, but as a committee we've tried to think about what were we doing in the past, because it's a good opportunity now to stop and look at the life of the theatre, or your life anyway, and what you were doing in the past. Can you get rid of, because you haven't been doing it anyway, so you don't need to start doing it again, and what do we need to keep? But everyone's in such a can get into such a funk that you can't think beyond next week, let alone let's get a production up first and let's make decisions. So that's a bit hard. But we think we'll be okay, and we're looking forward to having the new theatre and the new space and to celebrate that. we have a huge costume department and a props department, which is sort of up above the theatre, which we want to get into, but we haven't been able to get into it. So we hope to be able to be starting to get people utilising that, because we have teams of people who are what we call the sewers, who meet at the place in Hobsons Bay and the loom room. They meet at the loom room and do sew costumes, and they're all volunteers, so they're making the costumes for whatever piece, and we're hoping to do The Importance of Being Earnest, which has lovely clothing in it. So, and we hope to be able to continue doing the way we have done in the past, which is every Saturday we have a number of men who basically use the theatre as the men's shed, and they're down there every Saturday building sets and, hammering and sawing and having a grand old time. And so continuing with that as well. So there's a range of volunteers, not just those that are on the stage. And so it really does depend on what the post-pandemic requirements are and when do you say the pandemic has ended. But our cast and our crew and our audiences don't all come from just within Williamstown. They come from a wider field. So if there's the 10K limit, people have come on from the other side of the city to come and be at Williamstown Little Theatre. So, we hopefully will be up and running the same, but who knows?
Yeah, you just don't know. Alex, did you have any other questions to ask?
You did slightly answer this before, but what would you say have been some positive and negatives of this whole COVID lockdown situation that we're in? I know one takes precedence over the other, but
the good things. We were a community already, but it's brought the community together more online, and we're checking in on one another more than we may have done in the past. The disadvantage is the absolute loss of income and people not understanding that's what's happened. I mean, government's not understanding that the arts industry is in dire straits, and it's the arts that get us through these sorts of things. So we need to make sure that we have a healthy amateur theatre community, not just in Hobsons Bay, but across Victoria, which we have, but they're all struggling the same way as us. And we're one of the more independent groups because we have our own space. But then that's a disadvantage as well, because we've got to maintain it and look after it ourselves, whereas other groups might be using council space. So the council's looking after those halls and taking care of those and giving you the requirements you need, but we've got to come up with those sorts of things. So it's actually made us be a bit more creative in how we try and address stuff. So like using Zoom, sending things out, it really has been quite positive. But the downside is that we haven't been able to do any theatre. We haven't been in front of people, and we're live theatre. So it's not the same, even though seeing a film of it is interesting, but it's not the same, that smell of the grease paint, the roar of the crowd, that sort of stuff.
It's not the same seeing it on film rather than being there.
Yeah, but because with filming, you can miss the nuances of what's going on around, but when you're seeing it on a stage, it feels different and it looks different. And some of it you have to use more imagination, whereas having a film of something is it can tell you more than you might be told by looking at the stage, you take away from it what you can.
Like film and live theatre have different atmospheres.
Yeah.
Like they both create an atmosphere, but it's different.
Yeah. And there's different skills to it too. And it's not easy to just film a performance. We used to in the past have people come along to film the final dress rehearsal, and the person who was filming it didn't know the play, so there was no point. Whereas major films, they do know that, they know what's going on. They have some greater idea, but it sort of shows how just filming a performance isn't the same as being there and seeing it and being in the crowd and feeling the audience as well, having the audience with you and getting carried along by the audience when you can hear people sniffing or crying out or laughing.
You might have explained it before, but has lockdown made you guys like more adaptable and like in different ways of doing things?
I'm trying to think of an example. Well, what it's done is, because the workload was becoming so heavy on one person, and we also had put in place on the committee we already had different roles, but we put in particularly one that was a site manager role, basically, and it made us think differently. This person then took up, as soon as they heard this is happening with the building, they took on the role of organising a working bee for people. So that it actually fine-tuned our work a bit more. And so it made us spread the load more.
So did that time away from doing the theatre productions and organising that give you and the volunteers more time to put more processes in place and organise things better?
That's what that's what I've been trying to do.
Yeah.
But the company, because the company's been going for so long, the processes that were in place, it's a really slick machine, like everyone knows their role, and there's someone in charge of, so the person who's in charge of ticketing knows, like at this time of year I have to do this and this and this, and then I do this, and then so they're doing that. And then the person who organises front of house, they know that there's, they know the show, they know when to get people, they've got a crew of people already, and they can line them up and get them in and out. The person who does the costumes knows where. It's just that I think it's been a really well-run machine prior to the lockdown. And so it's just a matter of, I think, of oiling it up again and getting it running. And a grant would really help with the oiling, I think.
Perfect. Any other questions, Alex?
No, that was all I had.
No. Okay, perfect. So we'll wrap up then.
Okay.
Thank you for your time, Celia.
It's a pleasure.
It's been great to learn everything about the Williamstown Little Theatre.
Thank
and
you.
all the best to you.
Thank you very much. Good luck with your venture too.